Hey, Armin here. Welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show, where we cover training, nutrition, supplementation strategies, and a whole lot more. So stand by. Hey, and welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
Hey, I'm Frank Mills, and we thank you today for listening, watching the show. We appreciate it very much. Today, we've got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about, is it good to stretch between weight training sets? I'm sure a lot of you probably already do it either before or after. So we're going to talk about that. And also, we've got some NSP fan questions. We've got every week we get a lot of good content. It's kind of hard to pick what we're going to answer. So we try to do certain things, but we will answer every question we get. So that we can promise you. But that being said, let's get started with the show today. Armin, getting your good stretching in is an interesting topic because a lot of people, there's a lot of myths out there, a lot of things that have been spread around about when you stretch, before, after. Is it good to stretch? I'm curious, is this something that you do in your training?
Yeah, I've been doing this on and off, with stretching in between sets. Anyways, we can talk about the other two, but I've been doing it on and off for years. And I first learned about this back in the early '90s
Mm-hmm.
from a guy named John Perillo, who's from Ohio, and he was training a lot of competitors. And so I kind of liked what he said, and so it made sense to me. And so now what he ended up calling it, and what a lot of the other coaches would call it, is it's called fascial stretching.
Okay.
Um, so you're taking the fascia that's surrounding the muscles and you're trying to expand it. So that's really what the goal is when you're stretching in between sets.
Okay. Understand. So I guess, from the things I had heard about stretching, it's to warm things up for your
Mhm.
workout or to make yourself more limber, right? But
Yeah, it does.
I,
Yeah.
I I think there is a lot of misinformation from the shows we've done in the past too. So I'm really glad that you're doing this today. What about some of the benefits of stretching, Armin?
Okay. Yeah, we'll also touch on the different types as well. But the
Okay.
theory and assumptions are, when the muscles with stretching in between sets. Okay, I'm going to say the benefits of that is when the muscles are getting full of blood and become engorged, basically getting the pump from the exercise that you're doing, from the stress of this of whatever weight you're using and how many reps you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The theory behind the stretching between sets, the fascia stretching, is that it when the muscle's fully pumped and you can stretch it, you can actually take and expand the area because it's already engorged, and so you're trying to see if there's any more room to loosen up
Mm-hmm.
the area. And so you're just trying to allow more room for potential growth, for more blood flow in the future, especially get to the capillaries and things. So it's kind of like when you blow up a balloon. Okay, you blow up a balloon. Initially it blows up really difficult, but
Mm-hmm.
the more often you blow up the balloon, it gets easier and easier, and it expands much more rapidly. Okay,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
that's really what the theory is behind it. So when you allow the room for more expansion and more blood flow, that the understanding is it's going to allow for more potential growth. Now, also, it's going to help with range of motion and flexibility because of the way the muscle is being loosened up. So that's the thing on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know in previous shows that we've done, there are different types of stretching. So maybe we could cover that and then talk about what kind of stretching you're talking about now.
Okay. Yeah, so there is a big difference when it comes to stretching. And, you know, I remember early on, if you're going to run or do anything, you got to stretch before you go running. And
Right.
that
Right.
was the thought process. And that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that doesn't, what that actually does, if you do any kind of, this is basically called static stretching or static hold stretching. If you're doing that, then it can actually cause the joint become lax and more loose, which is not what you want, especially when it comes to weight training. Now, when it comes to athletic events, that's not good either because you're moving in a lot of different directions and you need everything to be, you want that joint to be holding things pretty tightly. So, what we're talking about here is you have dynamic and then you have the static. So,
Yeah.
the static is what you typically, this is what we're doing with the stretching in between sets. So, the muscles engorge and it's pumped up. And so, we're taking a 10 to 15-second period to see if we can stretch it a little bit more in between sets. And
Okay.
it's an uncomfortable situation as well. So dynamic stretching that's really for warming up, and that's what you really want to do if you're an athlete or if you're going to get, like for me, I do dynamic stretching before I train because all that is getting blood flow to the muscles to warm them up. And then you're also trying to get the bursa sac, which is the lubricating sac of the joint, to start lubricating it so there's less friction and less
Mm-hmm.
chance for injury. And that's really what the purpose of dynamic warm up is. And it's very effective. And so because I've done it both ways, and, I've had a few issues when I didn't warm up, especially my shoulder area, because of I didn't understand that. So, but once I implemented the dynamic stretching, it's never been a problem. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways,
Well, I am kind of curious when you're stretching, does that affect your strength at all?
no, not to me, not in my opinion. It didn't affect it at all, and I don't
Okay.
believe other people have had an effect from it. Uh, what you do notice is you're going to feel the burn and some. Uh, it's going to hurt some because you're stretching fascia. So that's what you got to keep in mind as you're holding the stretch. With this, we're going to talk more about how you do that. But the purpose of this is to not overdo it, but to allow for a little bit of strain to allow for the stretch. So that's the most important thing I
Mm-hmm.
feel when you're doing this. You don't want to
And
overdo it. That's for sure.
well, so why do you think that is that you get that burn or even a little discomfort as you stretch?
All right, so your body's working at a pretty good capacity. Your
Mm-hmm.
muscles they're not able to get enough oxygen and convert food to energy, so you have the lactic acid build up, and so that kind of it causes the muscle to get the burning feeling because it's trying to do what it can, but it's getting it to a capacity. So that's one of the reasons. In my opinion, most static stretching hurts until the area becomes loose. And as it loosens up, then you can continue to improve your range of motion
Mm-hmm.
and it'll get better and better. But there is a little bit of, because it's a tight area that you're stretching, you want to be careful, but you want to slowly let it release. And when it does, then you're like, oh, okay, then that range of motion keeps improving. And so it's got to allow more room, for blood flow if the fascia starts to stretch out. So that's, it's pretty logical, but also there is science that states some of this too. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, you don't you're not looking to hold these stretches real long because you're also
Right.
training. So you want to stay focused on your training. So you're just trying to give the area just a little bit more room, a little bit of time. And that way you're safe. You're not going to overstrain the joint and you're going to see if the thing is, if the muscle is going to expand more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Is this something that you normally do every workout?
No, not every set and every workout because it kind of depends on your timeline. So if I
Okay.
am crunched for time, I've done it a lot, so I kind of know, like for certain muscle groups, I like to do it. I do it more often, but usually I'm doing a 30-second rest period. So sometimes I can do a 10 to 15-second stretch, but I do typically stretch the muscle group. Then when I'm done with the exercise at the end, though, so that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty common there because I just want to make sure that um, I've allowed it to expand and get elongated to some degree. Unless I'm out of time, then I'll end up skipping it and then cover it another workout. So also when I'm doing these stretching in between sets, when I do them, this is mostly for the weaker muscle groups because I'm trying to see if I can get them to enlarge more. So for me, it's the legs, like the quads and the hamstrings that I'm doing it for, the calves, my
Mm-hmm.
back. I like to stretch my back and then my chest, just to see if I can, allow for a little bit more development and room. So
So
that's how I approach it.
okay, so when you do implement a stretch in between, and let's say you're taking a 15 to 30-second rest period, do you incorporate that stretch during that rest period or added to the rest period?
No, I incorporate it into the rest period. So that's why
Okay.
sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge depending
I
on,
bet. Yeah.
if you got a training partner and this and that. If you got a training partner, it's a lot easier to do. But it's just, again, it depends on if I'm pressed for time and how much volume I want to get done.
Gotcha.
Another
Gotcha.
thing is I'm pretty developed. So as you get more developed, the stretching stuff can definitely make a bigger difference. In the beginning, probably not so much. But I mean, if you do feel like your muscles are really, really pumped and they can't get any more pump, then yeah, it'd be a good idea to start stretching them once you start getting to that level. In the beginning, you
Gotcha.
don't necessarily get to that level. So
Okay. Okay. Uh, I know a lot of people worried about injuring themselves or very conscious about either their form or how fast they work out because, injuries do happen. But is there a
yeah,
possibility of injury when you stretch?
yeah, there is. So you have
Oh,
to
okay.
you got to be smart about it, okay? Because you if people tend to try to see how far they can push things, that's where you start getting in trouble because you could cause a tendon or ligament to get a slight tear in the joint area, which will cause a different burning sensation for sure, and not be beneficial. So
Mm-hmm.
the key is to gradually stretch the area, and then you'll hit a point when you're stretching. It's like, okay, I'm not going any further. That's like, whew, that hurts. So
Right,
it
right.
has an automatic limiter to it. But some people, as they get better at it, they try to take it to, a little bit further. So you want to obviously stretch slow and allow the area to loosen up. That's why it's a 10 to 15-second type of thing to give it a
Mm-hmm.
break and then go back at it.
Okay.
So, and then you'll see that your range of motion will gradually improve as well, which is, good news. So that just means that you've gotten some of the expansion to happen. But if
Mm-hmm.
you try to stretch it too fast, then I'm pretty confident you're going to run into problems. So one thing to absolutely keep in mind is do not bounce in the stretch movement. I see people do that from time to time in the gym, and that is all that's going to do is cause a problem for sure. No bouncing,
Mm-hmm.
slow, steady. It's going to burn. You just kind of go to the point where you say, okay, this is going to be about it. I can't do, and then you can come back to it and see if it improved more. But yeah, you want to be strategic with this, so you can minimize having any kind of injury. But if you overdo it and try to get too much range of motion, then that's where you're gonna have a problem.
Absolutely. But yeah, I have seen people do that bounce motion. So
Uh, that's not good
I
at all.
no. Well, I mean, if you just think about it, you're really kind of putting a tremendous amount of pressure when you do that bounce. I mean, you're pushing it to the
Yeah.
limit as, so yeah, not a good thing.
Well, that's
Uh
typically what happens with football injuries. They get hit at a bad angle, and it's a sudden jerk to the joint,
yep.
and that bam, that's how they tear an ACL, or they
Yeah.
tear the knee and even the ankle and stuff. So,
Yeah. Ugh. Uh what about in regards to stretching your legs, like for your quads, things like that? Um exactly what kind of stretches do you do for like your quads or legs, Armin?
all right, there's a lot of options on this. So, one of them could be what's considered a hurdler stretch, where you put your leg behind you, and you get in a fixed position. So you're doing one limb at a time, and then you slowly lean back and feel that torque on the quad. Now, if you feel it in the knee, you got a bad position. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
kind of play with your positioning if you're going to do the herder type stretch. And it's a good stretch, but you got to have your foot kind of high up too to get to try to get the whole area of the quad. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
way you can do it. Now, one I prefer to do is to sit down in a low position, but have a piece of equipment I can hang on to, so that I can slowly lower myself in, because the quads are on fire, especially if you're doing it in between sets. It's just like, so you slowly lower down, and then you're going to hit a limit, and then you just hold, and then that way, if I'm really hurting, then I can pull myself back up. But I
Right,
really
right.
like that stretch a lot. So I keep my feet pretty close together, come down real slow, get as far as I can,
Mm-hmm.
and it works really well. And then as I feel like I'm making progress, I'll start to push my legs a little bit more forward to engage even more quad if I feel it's loosening up. So, but
Gotcha.
one thing is, if you feel anything that doesn't feel right in the knee joint, not in the quad, but in the knee joint, stop immediately and then take a
Mm-hmm.
break and reposition what you're doing, because you haven't found the right area. Okay, you're actually hitting the joint more than you are hitting the muscle. So that's something else
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be understood when you do this kind of stuff. It's
Absolutely.
hard, here it's hard to demonstrate it here, but
Right. So okay, you covered the quad. What about hamstrings, your calves, things like that?
Yeah, those are pretty straightforward. Hamstrings, like the one I like to do is just put my feet together and slowly bend down, and then hold, and then
Mm-hmm.
just go as far as I can, then hold it. Again, 10 to 15 seconds, come back up, and then keep working. And so sometimes I'll be able to put my hands actually on the floor, and when I get a fully done stretch. That's one technique. Another would be take and prop your leg up on like a squat rack, and the lower part of a squat rack or a piece of equipment, and you prop the leg up and then slowly reach forward to get
Mm-hmm.
that stretch. And that one's a lot more intense as well, but it's easy to do. And again, you're doing one leg on that versus two. So that's one way. Now the
Mm-hmm.
calves, all you got to do is just stand up on a block, slowly lower down, and then tilt back. So you're using your body weight to put that stretch on. And you can do that again with one foot or both feet, depending on your level of development.
Okay. Okay. Um, I guess an area that a lot of people are real sensitive to, and I know I've had issues. Um, Sometimes when I have worked out, especially on the military press, I can strain my
Uh,
upper back behind my shoulder. And when I move my neck, I
mhm.
can feel it pull all the way down in the middle of my back. Um,
Yeah.
and that's one of the most annoying strains or injuries. So, what about your back? Is there some stretching exercises that you can do for that?
Well, in your situation, that's a little bit different. That has to do with the positioning of where the weight is and then where your
Mm-hmm.
back is, especially the upper neck, because that I've had that happen, and it sucks. You can't even move your
It
neck for
does.
like 10 days.
You
So
can't
that's
even
more of a
turn your head,
positioning
right?
issue. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. But you can get that from sleeping wrong too,
Yeah,
or you turn
true.
your head the wrong way and bam, it kicks in. So that's a different
Mm-hmm.
factor there, because it's upper back. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm referring to on back here is you want to hit the lats, and so you're trying to make the lats wider. And
Okay.
so what I like to do is I'll do an overhand grip about shoulder width, actually a little bit wider than shoulder width. So an overhand grip would be palms are face down, and then you know bend down and then start to pull on the
Mm-hmm.
bar. So I like using a Smith machine is great, or a squat bar. It's in a rack, it's solid. And then you slowly pull on it so you can feel your shoulder blades slowly start to, almost pop out, so to speak, but in a slow, controlled manner. This allows
Mm-hmm.
the lats to stretch more, again, for more range of motion. So that's a real effective one. Then I also like to do it with a palm up grip, where you're facing up, so underhand grip. And that gets a different stretch on the lats,
Mm-hmm.
which again these don't really stretch the lower back, and these are just for the lats. And I'm not a big fan of stretching the lower back, because you need that's a sensitive area. But this
Right.
discussion is mostly for lats. So then another one is I like to just grab with a neutral grip. You pull something from the side, and so then I pull on one side and hold it. And you pull until you feel the shoulder blade kind of come out a little bit, and you can feel that lat engage. And again, you're bent over, so you're flat back in all these positions that really
Mm-hmm.
get to feel the engagement of the lat. And I like that one a lot. And that one in between sets, you can really, it burns, and you can really feel that.
Hmm.
But you do one side and then you do the other. So again, you're doing that to 10 to 15 seconds. But those are the really good ones for the lats, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, we've covered legs and back. What about your chest?
The chest is actually a pretty easy one. You just want to have, like the squat rack's a good one, or a Smith machine. You can put your hands out to the side and you just keep leaning in until you feel the pecs engage, and they'll start burning as
Oh.
you lean in. And you just hold it, but you want to keep your elbows and hands in direct alignment. You don't want to keep them low. You want to keep them up and in alignment so you feel the stretch across the chest. That takes the shoulder out of the stretch. So again, just to get the chest, and that's a pretty effective one. And again, you want to hold that and just be, again, you want to be careful of that one too, because you're getting a really good stretch.
It's probably a type of a similar thing too. I'm thinking, you correct me if I'm wrong, like when you're doing flies, you can feel the
Yeah,
stretch in your chest as well,
it,
right?
it's basically it's a static fly movement with your body weight. Is what it is.
Okay.
You
Interesting.
could do them with suspension. You could do them with suspension training. Um, TRX is what they're
Hmm.
called. Well, that's what I mean, a TRX type of product where you're suspended and you hold these uh, straps, and you can stretch that way too. That's also another effective way of
Hmm.
doing it. So
Okay. Good stuff. All right. So, well, we've done the chest. We might as well talk about the arms, I guess, right?
yeah, so my arms respond pretty good. So I've been pretty fortunate with that. So for my triceps to get a little bit more range of motion and stretch there, I put my hands pretty close together on a bar, either on a Smith
Hmm.
machine or a squat rack. I'll put my hands close together, face down, so an overhand grip, and I'll just basically duck my head underneath the bar and pull until I feel the triceps really engage, and then hold it.
Ah.
This one, that's a killer stretch. I mean, you'll feel your tricep from the elbow all the way into your shoulder girdle if you get it positioned right, and
Hmm.
that's a great one. So that's really all I do for triceps. I mean, you could do behind the neck and then hold something to stretch it that way. But I just like
Hmm.
using the bar and using my body weight. So that's one I do for that. And then
Okay.
biceps, what you would do, you can use a Smith machine or a squat rack. I'm just trying to use this for simplicity. You can use other apparatuses, but for simplicity, what you do is you face away from the bar and you put your hands behind you, and then your palms are face down. So you grab the bar. You got to do this slow and gradual, because you're not in a good position it's not like you have that much flexibility just to swing your arms back there. So you put your hands back and you get to hold the bar. Then you slowly, once you have that in position, you keep your arm straight. You slowly lower down a little bit until you feel the biceps start to pull, and then you hold.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
that's a Mac Daddy stretch for the biceps. So again, you got to be really careful with that one, slow and steady. Another one you can do for the bicep is just grab your fingers and then push your fingers back when you hold your arm extended. That's more for beginners versus somebody that's advanced, but it does work. You do one arm at a
Yeah.
time that way.
Wow, a lot of really, really good information about all different types of stretching and how it can improve and help your
Yeah.
workouts, more effective workout, right? But um, any final thoughts? We're getting kind of low on time here, but a lot of the information you've offered, Armin, some things I have heard about, some things I've done myself, but others,
Yeah.
really effective, it seems like. And again, that's why you have the 40 years of experience. You've done all this stuff, tried it out, and done all this.
Yeah,
But
I've tried a lot of stuff, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Yeah, in my opinion, I felt that the stretching in between sets is good, especially if you're kind of plateauing and or you get a really good pump and you feel like the muscle may not be able to pump up anymore.
Hmm.
So doing it between sets is great for that. At the worst case, I would do it definitely at the end, again, because the muscles are engorged with blood and you got an opportunity there to see if you can expand it. And I just feel it's beneficial and it's helped me, when done properly, to help with the growth and the range of motion, because a muscle belly has a curve. It's not a straight line. So if you want to get that muscle curve, the muscle belly, that's why you have to lengthen the muscles, and that's part of why this helps. But this isn't anything that's overnight results. So just keep that in mind. This is one of those things that will subtly help. Again, with persistence and consistency, I think it will help. And there's
Mm-hmm.
other there's other pros. Most of the pros are doing these kind of things. So there's other it's not just me talking about this. But finally, you just want to proceed with caution on all this, okay? Because you have to learn to feel and engage the muscle, and do it based on that. And again, if you feel anything that's uncomfortable, break and don't just stop and then reposition, because you don't want to get an injury. And that's the most important thing. You want to get the benefits, but you don't want to get the injury. But the benefits are more range of motion, potentially bigger muscle sizes, and your strength's going to improve too. Because again, the more muscle size, the more you can put nutrients into that area, the strength's going to come with it. So.
And no bouncing. No bouncing.
Yeah, absolutely no bouncing.
No bouncing.
Man, I see people do that. Say, "Oh no, this isn't good." So,
All right. Well, I hope everybody got something out of all that great information about stretching and implement it into your workout to get some more results and
yeah.
help you out. So, all right. That being said, stand by for a quick word from NSP Nutrition, and Armin and I will be right back.
Hey, and welcome back to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
I'm Frank Mills, and hey, just a quick note. I know you just heard from NSP Nutrition, but Armin and I were talking during the break. If you are a NSP Nutrition seasoned product user like we are, okay, and you believe in the product like we do, there is an affiliate program, and you can make money by helping NSP promote their product to your significant others, your friends, family, maybe people you
People you
work
care
with,
about.
right? People you care about. You're right.
Yep.
So, Armin, this is a great program to help reward you for helping NSP, right?
Absolutely, and it's pretty easy to set up. You go to the website. There's a link there that says affiliate. Then you can sign up for that, and then they'll let you know what steps you need to take. And then all you got to do is, if you have a way to promote, whether it's a website or social media or whatever communication device you have, you just put that link in there, and all they got to do is click it. It takes them to the website to make a purchase, and then you would get a commission. As your volume grows, the commission scales keep going up. So it just depends on how much volume that you end up doing. But it's real easy to do.
So there you go. So check it out. Maybe you can earn some extra money by helping NSP. And there's a lot of great new products. They have the Prostate Plus, the collagen gummies, and much more. So check it out.
Yep.
And who knows? Maybe it equates to a part-time job for you or something. Who knows? Extra money's good. Anyway,
side hustle. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, in fan questions, we've got some pretty interesting questions, and we're short on time today because we had a lot of content about the stretching, which is really good. But we always like to try to answer a question or two in this segment, and we've talked about so many different things, and it's interesting. I kind of brought up the Prostate Plus because we have a question from a unknown person, won't give their name or anything, and asking about the Prostate Plus. A lot of guys do have problems as they age with their prostate, and it can be very frustrating. It can affect you in a lot of different ways. And just asking us as two guys, have we used the Prostate Plus? And if we have, or if we know of somebody who has, what were the results? Has it worked well for them compared to the other products that are on the market? So, Armin, I didn't know.
Well, the ingredients in it are what makes the difference. You have
Okay.
pygium and nettle thistle. I mean, you have nettle root and these different saw palmetto, these different ingredients. What it does is helps to shrink the prostate back down, take the swelling back down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and these are standardized types of herbs that do this. And so, the way you can check to see if it's working is you check your prostate specific antigen or your PSA, and then as you take the product, which is what I've done, and then you see if it changes it. Now, mine has been, low. So what I look for is, is it maintaining? So it's mine is more of a preventative because I'm 59 and it starts happening at this age. So,
Mm-hmm.
or sooner. So that's why I do it. But if you have, enlarged prostate, then yeah, give it a try. You can talk to your doctor about it too. I mean, but you can research the ingredients in there. They do help with it. There's studies that show that, but that would be my opinion. I mean, you'll need to check it to measure if it's working for you, but I feel like it does help. Yes,
Interesting.
I have
Okay.
clients that use it. Yeah.
Well, whoever asked that question, we hope that that answer helps you,
Well, it's
and
kind
we
of a personal
appreciate.
question, obviously. So,
Yeah, yeah, I get that. So, all right, and now we've got another question from Anthony, Key West, Florida. Uh,
okay.
Anthony's asking us about a show that we had done about protein, and when we go to the grocery store,
Mm,
obviously we look for organic or
yeah.
either grass fed, but he's asking a more detailed question. Armin, is there any specific things that you look for if there's multiple options of grass fed or organic meats or produce? How do you determine what you buy? Is there any specific things that you look at?
Yeah, well, you try to look for some differentiators, and this is actually a good question, and I'm always looking, but it's pretty hard to tell because you're at the mercy of the marketing that's put on the
Mm-hmm.
packaging. So
Right,
the
right.
really, to me, the only way to really know is who you get it from and what you know about the person, like a farmer or whatever. That'd be the best way to know. But no, we're all at the mercy of what they put on the packaging, and you just hope that they're being honest and then it's a good quality product. So, is it
Mm-hmm.
100% grass fed? It says it is. You just don't know. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
but I do notice differences in certain. I've tried different brands, and I notice some brands taste better than others, which is again interesting. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to kind of experiment. I don't have a good answer to that. I'm always looking on the labels, but it's just going to tell you what you want to hear. No
Mm-hmm.
antibiotics, no hormones, 100% grass fed. So yeah, I don't have a good answer on that one. I wish I because I'm on the struggle bus like everybody else. Is this quality or not?
Gotcha.
And I don't have a farmer that I would go to for that. So now I do have a guy
Gotcha.
that does give me some farm raised chickens, and so I know those, and they taste phenomenal. We have a deal with that, so that's how I know on that. But
Yeah,
no, I'm no
and
better
you
off than
know, it
anybody
might be
else.
something where you do a little research online and see if you can order
Yeah,
things direct from somewhere. I mean, it's really difficult. I agree with
it
you,
is,
but
man.
you are at the mercy of the marketing companies and how they advertise or what they will put on the label, right? So, anyway,
Yeah,
well,
that brings up. I got one other thing I want to mention though. Since
yeah.
we talked about this, one of our coworkers sent me a Instagram of a guy that was doing raw liver and bull testicles, and he got botulism and had to go to the hospital. And
Oh my gosh.
he had pictures of the testicle he ate and the liver. So, please understand that you need to be careful with the liver king and those kind of
Yeah.
organ meats and et cetera. But it was not good. I mean, the guy got a good laugh out of it, but be careful.
Oh, yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah,
Well, hope you guys enjoyed the show. We appreciate it if you would share it with your friends and family, and there's lots of ways to do that. We've got
yeah.
the QR codes above our heads. You can also comment on YouTube And also, as a last resort, I guess, email us at support@nspnutrition.com. And we rely on our audience, and it's a big part of what we do. And we really need your help to keep these segments going, right, Armin?
Well, yeah, again, we're trying to help people. So give us questions and stuff we can help you with. And we're going to keep contributing with what we know as well. So yeah, we'll make it a win-win.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the questions for this week, and look forward to seeing you all next week for a brand new episode of the NSP Nutrition Show.
Hey, thanks for checking out the NSP Show. Go to nspnutrition.com where you can find a whole heap of resources to help you achieve stunning definition and eye-popping levels of muscularity. Don't forget you can save 10% on your first order by using the code NSP Show at the checkout. Catch you next time.